Hey there, James Shaw.
What's going on, Jenny? Hey, are we actually like live on the Facebook right now?
I think we're on Facebook Land Live.
There we are. I see us. That is so fun. Wow,
Yay.
this is exciting. Is anybody watching? Probably not. My mom. My mom and your husband are watching.
My mom is usually pretty good at watching and keeping up with. She's the fastest liker in town. I like to.
Oh, yeah. So whenever we go, like we just did this Disney cruise, we were talking about it, and they turned the 3-day cruise into a 6-day cruise. And
Yeah.
we got back and I posted the pictures. And then I had like 600 likes at once. And it was my mom liking every single picture.
Right. Inside of the album,
Yes.
every picture.
Every picture.
I got to meet your mom. She's a joy.
It is a joy. Well, hey, thanks for having me on. We're going to
Yeah.
talk about gift today, right?
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so I'm Jenny Wolek. I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I have the honor of chatting with my friend James Shaw, MAPS Bold Coach, super awesome, mega, what am I trying to say? The word is Master
There
Faculty
you go.
KWU Instructor. Those are my words. I'm learning
Thank
to use my words today. So, James, I just changed over the name from one of my Facebook pages, and now it's called Real Estate in the Real World.
Okay.
So that's what we're talking about today. Wouldn't you say that this book is about real estate in the real world?
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. I mean, I think if you look at it, here's mine. If you look at it, it says how top real estate agents tackled tough times. And I would, in fact, maybe I'll call Jay and Gary and say, what if we change this to how top real estate agents tackle any market? Because if you
Yeah.
run your business like it says in this book right here all the time, then you'd have a really pretty rock star business, Jenny.
I totally agree. And why don't you tell everyone, I introduced you really brief and not even giving you the credit you deserve. Give your little intro.
No, I mean, you gave it. I've been KW 15 years. I coach Bold now, and I'm master faculty. I've been a team leader, an assistant team leader. I was on a mega team. Actually, the team we were on was #1 in all the Keller Williams in 2006, which, Jenny, I want you to think about this. In 2006, we were the #1 team in the entire company
Yeah.
with 444 units. And now people just wake up and do 444 units, and you got to do,
Yeah.
3,000 units to be #1 in KW now. It's crazy. So that's my background. And I think what I love about Shift, I have become over the last few years very passionate about Shift. I have taught at many places. I just got back from Green Bay, Wisconsin. We've got 4 coming up in Ohio, I'm sorry, 4 in Florida. We've got 1 coming up in Houston in October. And I'll do it for you. If somebody watching wants to have it, just reach out. We do a 1-day class on it. The thing that I've become passionate about was I was a team leader during the last shift. Jenny, I have a thing on my wall. You can't see it. It's right over here. Do you remember when we used to get Out Front magazine came out like every couple of months in like print format? Do you remember that? Okay.
Yes.
So in December, like November, December of '09, there was an Out Front came out, and it talked about a bold we were having in Cary, North Carolina, where I was team leader. We launched this bold 10 years ago last week. Steve Schlueter was the coach. I was a team leader. Our office had gone from 110 agents to 89 agents in my first 60 days as a team leader in 2009. We were treading water. I think at the time we had bold, we might have had 96, something like that, 96 agents or something in our whole market center. 47 of them enrolled in that bold. And Shift had come out the exact same month. Shift had come out in September of '09, or maybe August, somewhere right around Mega Camp. And that combination of bold and Shift helped us have the best fourth quarter that Market Center had ever seen up to that point, including during the hot years of '05, '06, '07, '08. So I've become very passionate about it. And I think that this is a long answer, Jenny, and I'm sorry. I think that what happens is when the market's been really good and everything's selling, I mean, look at your business. Your business has grown. I mean, you went through a time where you basically doubled like every year, and then you've just been growing. And you'll do, 180 deals or something this year, almost 200. And I think what happens when our business gets really busy like that and gets really good is that we're, without realizing it, we're planting little tiny seeds of failure that might become a big problem when the market shifts. And I just want people to become aware of those so that they can fix them now when the market's good and not cause you to go out of business later.
I love that. And I remember when Shift came out, it was my first ever mega camp, 2009.
Yeah.
And the whole mega camp was Gary and Jay going through this, every tactic.
Yeah.
And I remember we all came back with, and in Oklahoma, it took a while for it, the crash to get here. We're in the middle of America, so it took a while to get here. However, we started implementing this thinking, the language, the way that you talk and share with your clients about the market, about pricing correctly, about pricing ahead of the market. All of these are ways to better communicate with our clients, whether you're in a shifting market or not. And that's
okay.
what.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And I asked Gary about this. I'm going to do a lot of name dropping today, Jenny. All right. So
Love it.
I asked Gary about this, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I asked him about how does shift apply when the market's really good? Like why does it apply? What I love about Gary, Jenny, is that he'll respond to you and he'll give you a great answer. And he did. And I have it written down right here. He said, the way you win in real estate is that you act like the market that's coming, not the market that you're in. So, and I go, well, what do you mean by that? And he said, well, when you act like the market you're in, which Jenny, in Tulsa, you're in a seller's market probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in a lot of places around the country, they're still in a seller's market. Pat Mancuso's calling, name dropping that one too. So in most parts of the country, you're in a seller's market. So if you act like you're in a seller's market, that's when I say you plant these little seeds that can become challenges down the road. So Gary said, you have to act like the market that's coming, not the market you're in. And he said that when you think and plan around where you are already behind. So in order to be ahead, you have to think and act like the market that's coming next. That's a quote from Gary. That's what Gary told me. Yeah. And I think that this would be true. I mean, you were selling real estate in 2009. So in 2009 and in 2010 and in 2011, which would all be buyer market years probably in Oklahoma, you probably saw a shift late 11, maybe early 12.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay.
You behaved and did your lead gen differently and maybe looked at things differently than like you did in 2016. Because in 2016, it was just like, and so you might have behaved differently. Would that be accurate?
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that when the market gets hot, we've got to pause for a minute and go, what did I do when the market stunk? And how would that impact me if I did that now? Because you probably put a stronger focus on some things. I call it the 2 P's and the 2 L's.
Let's hear it.
Okay, so in a shift, you have to pay attention to the 2 L's and the 2 P's. What the 2 L's are? What are the 2 L's?
Leads.
Lead generation.
Yeah, lead generation. Conversion. And conversion, yeah.
Those are the 2 L's, lead generation and lead conversion. And in fact, on page 27, I'm going to read from the book on page 27 of the Shift book. Okay. It says that the challenge, it says that the critical actions that you identify must be carried out by you or personally overseen by you on a daily basis. So he's talking to rainmakers. He's talking to you, Jenny. Mm-hmm. Because the critical actions that you identify, that you believe as the rainmaker are critical actions, must either be carried out by you or personally overseen by you on a daily basis. Yeah. Then he says, well, he then tells you what those 2 actions are, those critical actions are, in case you've forgotten. And the critical actions are lead generation and lead conversion. And he says this, our research shows that the 2 actions real estate agents must take personal ownership of are lead generation and lead conversion. Nothing becomes more critical to success than finding motivated buyers and sellers and closing them for an appointment. And he says, now he's talking to you again. I want you to remember he's talking to a rainmaker. He says, your active involvement in the lead conversion process gives you 2 invaluable gifts. First, you get an immediate and ongoing sense of the issues in the market, like buyer and seller objections that will be overcome. And number 2, you get an honest understanding of conversion rates. And then listen to this sentence. It's my favorite sentence on this page. No one on your team will be as talented or as invested in closing leads to appointments, and your direct participation allows you to set the standard and coach your team on how they can meet it. So, yep. Jenny, you're a rainmaker, right?
Yes.
So what are you responsible for?
Well, I remember this. I remember reading this, and I remember my aha around this was that lots and lots of agents want to leverage lead generation and lead follow-up conversion off.
Right.
And in this time, in this critical time when every lead matters, and we really are probably the best at it on our team.
Well, that's why your name's on the sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, your name's on the sign because you
and
are
more invested, like
correct.
For sure more invested.
Well, here's the deal. I mean, and so you're right. By the way, he doesn't say you cannot leverage lead generation. So it doesn't say you can't leverage it. It says you either have to personally do it or personally oversee it daily. Yeah. So you've got agents on your team who are extremely talented people. Mm-hmm. I mean, the people on your team are some of the most talented people I've ever met. They're definitely all in, and they bought in, and you and I had a lunch conversation about this, and they had to figure out that they needed to buy in, and they figured that out. And the thing is, though, you still have to set the standard and oversee and manage the expectation and have the standards around what we're going to do every day. And if they won't do it, then they get to leave, and your people have bought in. So that's good. Yeah. The other thing, though, that happens is whether the market's good or bad, you're the last one to get paid. So you have the most to gain or lose, and you're also the last one to get paid. So if you step out, then all of a sudden what happens, and I saw teams do this, what happens is the whole purpose of your business is to fund everybody else's life. And that doesn't make any sense, Jenny.
I know.
Yeah. We're still working to get you and me and Chris on a Disney cruise. So until the production goes up, that's not going to happen.
No kidding. I mean, how awesome was it at this past mega camp when we were told from the stage and every person on the stage needed to provide a P&L. So we know that they are paying themselves. They are running the business.
Right. Well, so that's the 2 Ps. See,
right.
We said the 2 Ls are lead generation, lead conversion. The 2 Ps are people and profit. And if you set those 4 things, that's what you're going to put your eyeballs on in a shift. There's 12 tactics. I've identified those as the 4 big things: lead generation, lead conversion, people, which includes you, by the way, and then profit. Are you making money? And the purpose of the business is not so that everyone else can pay their bills and not you. So yeah, you're exactly right. We've got to be doing P&Ls and know what's happening from that standpoint. Yes, Jenny, you nailed it. The other thing, though, I want you to think about is what kind of market are we in? So you were at Mega Camp, and Gary put the home sales stuff up there. And you know what I'll do, Jenny, when we're done with the video, I'll go back and I'll put some pictures in the comments for people to look at that will show you that we're really entering a shift already. It just doesn't feel like it. Because basically 2008 to 2017, we went from 4.1 million home sales to 5.5 million home sales annually. So that's 2008. In 2008 we did, in 2008 there were 4.1 million transactions. Is it transactions? No, home sales, 4.1 million home sales. In 2017, there were 5.5 million. Now, do you know what there were in 18 was 5.3 million. And 19, they're estimating 5.2 million. Mm-hmm. So we're seeing a decline in that. Now, it's really tiny decline, except it's still a what? Decline. Here's the other thing that's interesting. Look at volume. In volume in 2011 was 160, annual home price, 166,000 in 2011. It's up to 167,000 right now, except the last 3 years have been really flat. Yeah. So what we have to do is pay attention to these numbers. Home sales are slowing down. Prices are leveling off. What's coming?
A shift.
Right. Yeah. That's why you have to get your shift together, which I think is an amazing little thing we came up with.
Yeah, you came up with that. While we're talking about shift, one of the Jay Papasan is a co-author, and you just talked with him. So,
oh my gosh,
let's name drop that.
I just spent a half hour with Jay. We had some technical problems, so it'll be so fun. It's going to be a phone instead of like the audio quality is a little bit lower because it's phone. Jay Papasan did a Positively Dad podcast. So I do a podcast. It's really for dads. I have more moms that listen. And my aha today, actually, as I was posting one of the episodes, was I should just change the name, because the stuff we're talking about applies to everybody, whether you have kids or not. So it's called Positively Dad, and you can follow it on Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, and listen to the podcast. So Jay did a Positively Dad podcast with me all about the one thing and how it applies to fathers and families. So that'll be out in a few weeks. And it was really, really good. Yeah, it's really good.
Didn't you learn something from that you were going to share?
I don't remember. What did I say? I forgot.
You say a lot. The content of the books.
Thank you. Yes. No, you're so smart. What I shared with Jay afterwards, my aha was, I think the 3 books, Millionaire Real Estate Agent, Shift, and The One Thing, answer all of life's questions. And then you would add Millionaire Real Estate Investor in that too.
Yeah.
Every question you have about how to run a business, fund your life, and create a life worth living is answered in those 3 books. I told Jay that, and I firmly believe it. Absolutely.
I love that. All right, so we've got some more time. Let's dive into some of the tactics that you've been teaching Shift like around the world. Where are you going next?
Turkey next. So we're teaching it in Turkey. Yeah, this will be the fourth country, if you count the United States, that I've been able to teach Shift in. I've done it here, obviously. I've done it twice in Canada, once in Portugal, and now I'm going to Turkey, which is really cool. So thank you for suggesting that. I think there's some stuff we could dive into the 12 tactics. I honestly think we've got 16 minutes left, and you might even have questions or something people are asking. I don't know. I can't see the Facebook Live.
You're eating lunch.
Okay. Yeah. I think the thing is a lot of it can be in chapter 1. Chapter 1 is all about mindset. And we know, that's a massive amount of your success. What you think and what you talk about. We would call it attitude now in bold. We talk about your attitude and your mindset in bold, and what a big impact that has. And Gary says something in there that I think is important. And I mean, Jenny, you've been to how many mega camps? 10 mega camps, probably 10 family reunions. Mm-hmm. You've taken bold 16 times.
Yeah.
You go to, every regional event. You're interviewing agents from all over the country. You're learning so much. You're sharing so much value.
Yeah.
I mean, do you really though ever get off of one of your video calls or leave an event and go, oh my gosh, I've learned something crazy new that is so out there that I've never heard before?
It's so crazy. Yesterday I did a video with Jordan Freed, an awesome MAPS coach, and John Brooks, a rock star agent. Yes.
Right.
And John was just on stage with Gary talking about profit and a different way of thinking and running your business like a business. And the whole point was supposed to be about, first, you got to understand your purpose to know and understand and have a profit.
Right.
And guess what the whole hour was all about?
Lead generation.
Knowing your purpose, figuring out why in the heck we're doing this. It's all starts.
I got that wrong. Ask me the question again.
What do you think it was all about?
Oh, knowing your purpose. You've got to know your purpose.
And mindset, right? I mean, this is the deal, James. You teach this in bold. It's just all starts with what you first think, what you think about yourself, what you think about life, and creating big dreams. We've seen thinking big from bold come to real life.
Yeah, and the way you do that, by the way, is you get really small. So you get really narrow in what it is you'd like to accomplish. You get really narrow in your activities. You kind of figure out those things. And that's where the mindset piece from Shift is so important. Gary says in there on page 24, he says, remember that success is never about the chosen few. It's about the few who choose. In other words, do you choose to know what your purpose is? Do you go out and figure out what's important to you? Then will you choose to do the things you need to do? And that was the next thing I thought that was really good. He says you make 2 shifts in your business. One's a mental shift, which is success is not about the chosen few, the few who choose. Then he said the second thing is it's an action shift. And this is one of my favorite things from the book. He says, once you know, it is not about more knowing, it's about doing. So once you know your purpose, well, then you know your purpose, Jenny, and that's going to be refined over time. Except once you've figured it out, you don't have to do exercise after exercise to figure out your purpose. You go take QL, Quantum Leap, or maybe you teach quantum QL for kids. You'll learn your purpose in there. Yeah. There's an exercise in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent on the big why, the page number is escaping me at the moment. It's in the
72.
52?
72, I think.
72. So there's a section there you can do it. There's another book that I like called 5 right here. I don't know, Jenny, if you've ever done this one.
Hold on.
Got it? Yeah. There it is. She's going to go get it. There it is right there. See?
Yeah.
So this is why we're friends. This is why we're friends. You can do these things. And look, this is the book that's about purpose. Okay? So this is not real long. This is a book about purpose.
Right.
This is the book about getting your stuff moving.
Do it.
And so, so he says in there on page number, 27, He says, for all the necessity of knowing what to do, taking the right action is just as necessary. Once you know, then it's not about more knowing, it's about doing. So I think most of the people watching probably have an idea as to what their purpose is, and they know what they need to do to get busy. Now they've got to get into action. I mean, you love Disney. We love Disney, right? We went to Epcot with you. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And when we were there, like right now, Jenny, the Epcot that we all visited when you and your daughter were in town and Terry and Naomi went just like 3 months ago is completely different now. They've closed so many things because they're going through a massive renovation. And when they do the construction at Disney, they put up these quotes from Walt Disney all over the place. And one of my favorite quotes from Walt Disney is, the way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. And that's what we've got to do. We just got to get to work. Like, you know, I mean, has your team done its lead gen today? It's 12:20 in Tulsa.
Yes.
Right, because you're supposed to do it.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is this, and this is what I wanted to get to, was that Gary says in the book, he says, the most humbling lesson of a shift is this: we succeed in good times not only because of what we do right, but in spite of what we do wrong. Mm. And I imagine, Jenny, that you're going to do however many houses you're going to do, almost 200 houses. And you can skip a couple days of lead generation and be okay. And when the market turns, I don't know if that's true.
Mm. Yeah, I remember some of these different tactics that hit me hard, even just the expense management. Yeah. Because this is like, Jordan is my coach now, and what always happens with a new coach is you dive deep on P&L and numbers. I mean,
allocation, all that jazz.
Yeah, like what's this for? What's this for? What's this for? Is it producing a result? Not really. And now, so this is what we need to be doing, guys that are watching, planning and preparing for 2020. It's around the corner.
Well, it is 2020, okay? Because it's September 17th, so it's December 17th. We're what, 9 days before Christmas or whatever. Right. The thing I want you to think about is we are in a subscription economy right now, where it's you know, $12.99 here, $17.99 here, $5.99 here.
Yeah.
And in your business, you have what I call gym memberships. So, you know, you're out doing your thing. You're getting ready to run the New York Marathon, which is November. What is that? November 3rd. It's always that Saturday right after Halloween. So you're getting ready to run the marathon. You've been running, doing all your stuff. And that requires a lot of effort and training and stuff for you. So a lot of people, right around the beginning of the year, decide that they're not happy with their body and their health choices. And so what do, Jenny?
They go sign up at a gym.
They go join a gym, and they go sign up at the gym, and they cost $49.95 a month. And for the first 2 weeks of January, they go like 12 times. I mean, they're killing it, right?
Yeah.
And then they have a bad day and they don't go and whatever. Well, you get to pick if you're going to go back or not. I'm not judging whether or not you decided to go or decided to bail. What I'm judging is, have you stopped going and you're still paying? That's what I'm questioning. And what we would say is you got to cancel the gym membership. If you're not using it, cancel it. Okay, well, your business, Jenny, has gym memberships, and it has stuff in there that you aren't using or isn't giving you the return that you would expect, and you've got to go eliminate it. So what has Jordan already helped you realize that you need to eliminate or change?
Well, for one thing, I mean, every little penny of everything, actually. And also we subscribe to RedX, which is a tool to circle prospect and to call for sell by owners and expireds. I can't think of one for sell by owner or expired or just sold circle prospecting call we've made this year that has produced a piece of business.
So then you don't need it. And it's nothing wrong with RedX. It just means it's not working for you.
We're not using it because we have others. We focus on other sources of business.
Right. It reminds me of when Gene Rivers was teaching a business planning clinic. So Gene Rivers is an OP of like 4 or 5 market centers in Jacksonville and Tallahassee, and he and his wife, I mean, if you guys don't know who Gene Rivers is, I'm not going to explain. You should figure him out.
Yeah. You need to watch every podcast that he did on the one thing he's done.
And Gene Rivers tells the story of the time that they bought the ad in the movie theater that was Realtor, and they had the milk mustaches, and it cost him like $8,000. And he did it 2 years in a row. So they spent $19,000 or something. I might have the numbers wrong. You get the idea. Yeah. And then Gene went and looked back, and he goes, wonder how many deals we got from that. And of course, you know the answer, Jenny. What was it?
Zero.
then we wasted the money. And so, yeah, if you're
Yeah.
not, if it's not giving you a return, you have to remember the cost plus principle, which is taught in tactic number 2 of Shift, which is the expense chapter. And the cost plus principle says every dollar you spend must return its original amount plus a reasonable profit. And if it's not returning its original amount plus a reasonable profit, then it's gonzo. And the time you do that, Jenny, is now, because you have the ability to do that. Gary says you cannot revenue your way out of the Shift financial problem. You can't do it fast enough. You cannot create enough revenue to fix it. So you cut expenses. That's what you do.
Another one of these tactics I want to bring up is bulletproofing the transaction.
Yeah.
How much effort, time, energy do we put into getting a deal together only for it to bust for some reason? Something we've implemented this year, and it's been awesome. And we have a spreadsheet on the return on investment, and it has been providing a service level, tiered service level for our sellers. And sometimes we run specials on it where we will pay for upfront pre-inspections and pre-appraisals.
Okay.
And huge in days on market, list price to sales price. It's amazing.
So there's 3 areas in that chapter. That's the last chapter, chapter 12. And there's 3 areas in that chapter that, to me, I think he lists 12 options or 9 options of things to look at for bulletproofing. There's 3, though, that stand out. One is what you just said. I would begin it now, by the way, and just make it a standard. And if your seller can pay for it, great. And that is pre-inspection, pre-inspection, pre-inspection. What I love about it is when the market changes, your inspector will love you, because when the business goes down and sales go down, their business goes down. They need opportunity as well. We want to support that group. So, and they would do it now too. So go get a pre-inspection. And there's a couple of things that happen when you do a pre-inspection. Jenny, you probably found out about major defects that need to be fixed that could have caused a problem. And you can fix those things, and that helps you. The other thing I hear agents say is you will then market it as a home that's been pre-inspected.
Certified pre-owned.
Right. And there are home inspectors that actually buy the ability to say that. That's a certification or whatever they can get. And if yours doesn't have it, you can still say it's pre-inspected.
Sure.
And that there's even a segment of buyers that will want to save the $400 and they'll just take your inspection. So that eliminates that as an issue. So that's one. Absolutely, I would begin it now, September 17, 2019, pre-inspection. Number two area is financing. We have deals fall apart on financing. So what I would recommend is starting to get backup approvals through Keller Mortgage. And the reason I'm going to do that is because it's your listing, Jenny. So you are a Keller Williams agent. The co-op agent can be ABC Realty. It doesn't matter. If you utilize Keller Mortgage, it's a couple of buttons, and they're going to do a bunch of stuff on the front end. Now, the client doesn't have to use Keller Mortgage. It's just they have that as an option. And what's great about it is this. Do you ever have a transaction come up, Jenny, where the buyer says, okay, we have this problem. Instead of fixing it, we want $2,000?
Yes.
Okay. Well, instead of having your seller give them a concession of $2,000, why don't they go with Keller Mortgage, and they basically end up getting the credit that way. So they still get their money, and your seller saves money. So that's the other thing I do. Backup pre-approvals from Keller Mortgage. The third area that I think is really important is, Jenny, you should probably schedule a meeting with the co-op agent once you go under contract. And I would do this in person if you could. Hey, let's meet for coffee for 10 minutes and just walk through the next steps in our transaction together. I don't know. I'm licensed in North Carolina. In North Carolina, we aren't smart enough there to manage all the dates. So we have one date basically that we manage. It's a due diligence date, and everything's done by that date. In most states that people are in, they probably have multiple dates. Like in Oklahoma, you probably have an inspection date, and a financing date, and all these different dates, right?
Sure.
Okay. Do they ever miss dates?
We don't.
Okay. I know you don't. Have you ever have a co-op agent who's forgotten that they're a co-op agent, right? That we have the same goal here. So if you go sit down in person, it allows you, you're not micromanaging them. It allows you, though, to evaluate, how experienced are they? How well do they understand the process? What are their ethics like? What kind of person are they? Mm-hmm. And then you can set the stage as to how this relationship's going to go, that we're going to hit the dates. Brene Brown, you know Brene Brown. Brene Brown's one of my favorites on earth. I've got a book for her around here somewhere. You probably have it in your library too. Brene Brown says it's really hard to dislike someone when you're up close. The closer you get to somebody, the easier it is to like them, the less likely you won't. So if we can get face to face with that co-op agent, it just builds some relationship that keeps the deal moving, in a good way.
You just reminded me of another way to get face to face with people. I remember in the days when houses didn't sell as fast as they have been recently, and these would be the shifting market times, and you have your sellers sitting on the market day after day, month after month. They're getting very frustrated, and it's the same conversation over and over again. And I remember some agents would schedule, hey, let's get together and face to face do this again. Let's
Yes.
what do you think about that?
Yes. So Monica Reynolds taught me that when I was working with her. What Monica would say is, there will become a time that you've got to have price reduction conversations face to face and almost just start over. I'm going to, it's like 151, I want to say. Yeah, 150. So starting on page 150 of Shift is the whole pricing section. And I would look at that again. I just taught Shift in Green Bay, and we spent a lot of time on this. I would look at page 150 and get familiar with pricing and how to have that conversation. And here's the tip I would give you. So Jenny, I imagine you call, or someone on your team calls all of your sellers every week.
Yes.
Okay, what's your system for that?
We have a couple systems. The agent has reminders. It's on their Thursday call. We have our listing manager that sends an email on Wednesdays with an update of showings and feedback.
Okay, all right. So what I've been beginning to recommend to agents is a 2-call approach every week. And I would do Tuesday and Thursday. So Tuesday is going to be, let's call it a warm and fuzzy call. So we're going to warm and fuzzy call them. Here's what happened from the weekend. Here's the number of leads we've gotten. Here's how many people, whatever you want to talk, warm and fuzzy. Thursday, it's price reduction Thursday. And our Thursday call is going to be the day we ask for the price reduction. Now, if you're going to ask for a price reduction, that's a 2-call thing. We don't do on our 1 call and ask for the price reduction, in my opinion. We need the warm and fuzzy, make them feel good, and then call them a couple days later, Thursday, right before we go on the weekend. That's the price reduction call. Yeah. And one strategy I would give for somebody, like, do you know ballpark? And if you don't know, it's okay. What is your overall listing volume right now for your team? Just a ballpark number.
We have 12 active listings and say around 200,000 each.
Oh, okay. So do the math on that, whatever that is.
Yeah, whatever.
Right. What I'd recommend is every week you start getting 1% reduction in volume through price reductions. So every Monday you go and you figure out, here's our listing volume. And by Friday, we're going to get 1% of that in price reductions, and that'll help get stuff moving. So those are just some strategies. Was this a value today, Jenny?
I like that. I like that a lot. I will share, and I remember you talked about the charts and graphs to go over in those pages. I remember Jay Papasan had a YouTube. You can go and search it, I'm sure. And it was sitting down and writing out this diagram with the sellers and talking about the pricing in and out of the market. Remember that one? Oh, it's on page 153.
So it starts 150 and goes all the way through. I would actually just begin taking this on listing presentations and having this conversation. Now I'd take the book. So
Well, I appreciate you. Let's see. So Bold is doing great. Isn't there a launch coming up that we should?
October launch is going to be the largest launch in the history of Bold. 140 plus locations. There's one that's already sold out 3 weeks before it starts. Indianapolis sold out on Saturday at 110 full registrations 3 weeks before it launches. And they're begging to get in still. So it's really awesome.
Wow.
So I would look for a Bold near you. We have finished the lab process, the new Bold's out. And even if you're in a lab, if you've already taken it this year, about 40% of the content has been revised again.
Okay.
So I would get in. Number 2 thing, though, I got to tell you is you might want to talk to your market center leadership about bringing Shift in. There's a 1-day workshop. I could probably do about 3 more before the end of the year. So if there's a market center or a region that's interested, hey, Sherry Lewis, maybe she wants to bring it to OKC or Tulsa. Get with your market center leadership, have them get with me, and we'll look at some dates and see if we can do a Shift 1-day workshop right there in your area.
That is awesome. Thanks for always sharing so much value.
Hey, my pleasure.
I can't wait to see you soon. And if you guys need anything from me, my number is 918-706-9845. Have an amazing day. Goodbye, Mr. Shaw. See you later. Okay, hold on. I want to ask you something. 1 second.